Hello gamers, your ears are in the right place. I am your host Kelthar and you're listening to I Never Cast for This, episode 15. And we are a podcast dedicated to bringing forth discussions or debates on controversial gaming topics and hopefully putting them to rest. And today we're going to be discussing the future of Xbox as well as the Xbox Games Showcase coming up this Thursday, July 23rd. Today is July 20th and it is currently 9:22 Eastern Time. And we have a brand new guest joining us on the podcast, and I will introduce him in a moment. But first, as I said, my name is Kelthar, the host of I Never Cast for This. And to my right, we have Erebus returning once again. How's it going, man?
It's going great, man. How's it going with you?
Well, it's going fantastic. I'm still moving in a week. It's a week from today. I'm actually moving. It's pretty crazy. So things have been hectic, and haven't been gaming a whole lot lately, but I've been fitting a few games in there. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Also returning once again, we have Athricus. What's up?
Nothing, man. It's been a half-decent week. Getting new computer parts. Just researching and all that stuff. So it's been fun.
Nice. That's deadly, man. Awesome. And we also have a special guest joining us today from the Strictly Casual podcast. Welcome to Vincent DeSantis. How's it going, man?
Thank you, dude. Thank you so much for having me on this week. I've been really excited about it.
Yeah, no problem. No, we're really excited to have you here for sure. It's great to have you. So for those of us that might not be familiar, just tell us about yourself.
So I am a 20-year-old college student. I live in California, and I have a weekly gaming news podcast called Strictly Casual, co-hosted by James Walmer, who hopefully is going to join us tonight in the chat. And that's every Friday. We have that podcast. We go live on Twitch at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, and that's usually on YouTube around noon Pacific time as well. But other than that, I stream on my Twitch channel right here at Babashinga on Twitch, and that's about it.
Nice, man. So have you been a gamer like your whole life, or have you only picked up in recent years? Yeah,
basically, my dad was a pretty big gamer too, so it kind of just chafed off on me over the years.
Nice. So
yeah,
you're primarily a PlayStation gamer, is that correct?
I am. Yeah, I've been PlayStation born and raised pretty much. So.
Nice. So do you own an Xbox?
I had an Xbox 360, but I do not own an Xbox One.
Right. And what about PC gaming?
PC, I just built a PC a couple months ago. And so PC games have been pretty new to me.
Okay.
It's been great. I'm getting to explore some Xbox games that I haven't been able to play in the past. So
yes, that's true through
like
cool. Xbox Game Pass and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
That's awesome. No, I'm really glad you're here because it'll be good to get your input as well as someone who is a Sony fanboy. If it's okay to call you that.
Oh, absolutely. It's the truth.
No, absolutely though. That's fantastic, man. Before we get into some deeper discussion, just so everybody knows the format of our show, so we're every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv, and if you can't catch the live show, that's totally fine. You can always catch us on YouTube as well to catch the VODs. We're also available on most major podcast networks, and if we're not on one, you just got to let us know. As I said, we are on Twitch. We have a pre-show where we're all getting set up and just chatting there, and there's also a little post-show that we have after each show as well, just more casual atmosphere. And stick around till the end of the show because we will have a trivia game show and where I ask a question to the guys and I try to stump them as best I can. And generally I do, but actually in recent weeks you guys are actually getting the right answers. So I'm interested to see how Vincent does on that as well at the end too.
Could be brutal.
It's all good, man. So before we get into the topic of the week, let's just talk about what you guys have been up to last week. It can be related to gaming or not. So Erebus, we'll start with you. What's your last week been like?
Same, like not a lot of gaming. I got a baby on the way in 10 days. So it's been chaotic here, planning and getting ready for that. And
I'd say
just getting the house ready and just been super stressful and trying to get work clued up and everything too. But I have played a little bit, mostly with you, Kelthar, on when we did a few rounds of. We played Brawlhalla one night until. Oh, I have to say this: we played Brawlhalla, which is a fighting game. Too, it's similar to Smash Brothers. We played it on PC, and he and Kelthar doesn't normally get like this, but he essentially refused to get off until he could beat me once. And it was really surprising because Kelthar's not normally that kind of. That's normally something I would do, like, or I would get like super mad, right? And I would just get like, but
I wasn't even
really
mad, really.
Well, you got pretty tilted
a couple times, yeah.
But anyways, I wish I had the number, but we played till close to 4 a.m.
Yeah,
and like it was 3 hours straight. It must have been, and
it must
have been 100 matches.
It was at least 3. Yeah. I'm ashamed to admit.
it was ridiculous. And then, anyways, we played Smash Brothers a couple days later, and it was fairly equal for the first few rounds. And then Kelthar kicked my ass like 3 or 4 times, and then he got a super big ego. He was like really confident, and I was like, "Are you really telling me like you're?" He was really like, anyways. Yeah. But anyway, Kelthar's incredible at Smash Brothers, so it's difficult to fight his villager. But so I'll stick with Brawlhalla. But yeah, so we played mostly that. But I'm getting back into the fighting game. Like playing that for a few times got me back into like that fighting game mood, and the competitive juices started flowing. So I
haven't felt that in a while, so it's been good.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Erebus and I are actually brothers, and because of that we grew up together and played Smash Bros. 64 for hundreds of hours and Smash Bros. Melee for hundreds of hours. So when we lose to each other, it's hard to stop playing because we don't want to leave on a loss. And the point is, I lost at least 100 times in Brawlhalla on that day, whatever day that was.
Yeah, and I don't remember what day it was.
I think it was Friday night. It's Friday or Saturday.
Oh, right.
It was definitely like 4 a.m, and then I finally beat you, and I just pretty much Alt F4 and shut down my computer. So
yeah.
No, that was fun. Awesome, man. And Athricus, I know you've done something momentous. You have finally done what? You've done more stuff with your computer?
Yeah, I put some more money and time into my computer, yes.
Yes. But for those that don't know Athricus, he often loads up his Amazon cart or whatever with thousands of dollars of computer parts of things he wants and never pulls the trigger. But for whatever reason, that was yesterday, right?
Well, to be fair, I will start slowly, and I'll be like, okay, well, I need a new something and whatever.
Okay.
$300.
You start slowly. So you started talking about these parts, I think, probably in around 2015, 2014. Because we've had this discussion a million times, and then you never pulled the trigger. So slow is a little bit of an understatement because you.
I mean, I'll put a couple $100 in the cart, and then over the next couple of weeks, it will grow to a couple thousand, and then I'll sit there for a month and then empty the cart out and start again, and it always just continues on. And you're right, I never click that buy button.
Can I ask a question? Not to take over Kelthar, but I actually do want to know why did you decide to buy parts this time? Like what was the different? What changed? Because you usually back out at the last second every single time.
I don't know. I just got up and I'm like,
I'm gonna do it.
I'm just going.
Today's the day.
Half the fun is picking the parts.
That's awesome.
I know that's part of the reason I never do, because I know I have more fun looking at the parts and studying them than actually buying them.
Right.
So now that I've bought it and it's all together, I'm actually pretty disappointed and kind of sad.
It's all returned, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna return it now and then start again.
Once you get that ultra wide monitor, man, you'll see the
difference.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you did finally decide to pull the trigger there. It's pretty awesome, man. I'm happy for it. I'm jealous. I would like to have a few more parts as well.
It hasn't been that long. I bought a new computer 4 years ago or so.
Yeah.
Put money to it. Of course, I bought all garbage parts, but
yeah. I was going to say I would love to have some new parts, but Erebus did just give me a few parts not too long ago.
An entire computer.
Basically an entire computer, yeah.
Shh. That's not the point. But no, I am very appreciative, so thank you for that. That's awesome. Awesome, Athricus. I'm glad you're able to upgrade your computer finally. And Vincent, so what have you been up to? I know it's your first time on the podcast, but what have you been up to the last week or so?
Gaming-wise, I've been playing a lot of Valorant. I'm terrible with a mouse and keyboard right now, so I'm like really trying to get better at it because I've literally been console my whole life, right? So
is that game not on console?
Nope, Valorant's PC only.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been playing a lot of that. It's been tons of fun. I'm going through Halo finally too, because I have
Nice.
never played Halo before.
Wow.
How are
I
you
know
finding it?
that's crazy, huh?
How are you finding it?
I love it. It's great. I mean, the Master Chief Collection is super well done. Especially playing the first Halo Combat Evolved, and switching between the original graphics and the anniversary graphics. It's a trip. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I finished Last of Us 2 last week. And that's about it. Yeah.
Nice. What'd you think of
Finishing
Last
up
of Us
summer
2?
classes also. So.
Oh, okay.
Last of Us 2?
Yeah.
Oh man, I have endless thoughts on Last of Us 2. But overall, I was positive about it. More positive than a lot of people I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly a it would be a good topic for a podcast to do if I had actually played the game, because I know it's full of controversy and stuff. But but yeah, I don't know if it deserves all the hate it seems to be getting based on what I've been reading. But
yeah, I don't think so personally.
yeah, no, that's cool. And playing Halo for the first time, that's wild.
I know. Yeah.
So where are you now? Which game are you on right now?
So I'm doing it with a buddy playing co-op, and we're going in chronological story order, not release order. So we finished Reach, and now we're in Combat Evolved.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I haven't played Reach in like 10 years, the campaign, I think. We touched it on PC like last month or whenever the PC one came out, but I barely played it. But yeah, no, it's a good game for sure. All right. I think we're ready to get into the topic of the week. So, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you're as excited as I am, but I am so pumped for Thursday. Like, it honestly feels like Christmas to me, because it's the Xbox Games Showcase, Thursday, July 23rd, the Xbox Games Showcase, and they are showing only first-party games. There's no third-party stuff. There's no, Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay being shown or anything like that, right? It's not like that showcase they had in May. This is fully first-party Microsoft, and I couldn't be more excited. How do you guys feel about it? Anybody?
Maybe not as excited as you, but certainly excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just excited for next gen. I'm not necessarily, obviously I love PlayStation, but both sides, it's great when anybody has a better product than the other person, it just pushes the other side to be better, and it's a great train of competition. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for whatever we see. Very excited to see the new Halo too. Just because finally getting into it. Yeah, super excited.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, go ahead, Erebus.
Yeah. Like I'm excited too, and I'm excited. The same reason Vincent is, like, just to see kind of where next gen goes, and like they're pushing each other and getting better. I'm really, we're pretty loyal PC gamers, and console is like now that I'm switched over. This is probably the first time, maybe not the first time, but I have an extremely powerful graphics card and monitor and those types of things. So I'm playing everything at max at 165 FPS. So I really want to be blown away by kind of the tech that they show and the games that they show. And they're kind of marketing the whole ray tracing thing and all the different things that these consoles can do. So at a really good price point, hopefully. So I'm more excited to see kind of just the tech in action in these games, just to see if it really like blows me away, or if it's not, an actual like gameplay that blows me away, not just, like you said, like the cinematic trailer bull that they do all the time. So it'll be nice to see kind of what they do, and if it really does push the limits.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping that's the case, because I know when they showed Halo Infinite several months back, the graphics didn't look great. Like, it didn't look like next gen. It just looked like another game for Xbox One. So I'm hoping that has changed a lot.
Right.
And yeah, like Vincent said too, like I am pumped for the next Halo game. Like, I played the campaign for Halo 5. It sucked. It wasn't very good. I played a little bit of the multiplayer, and the multiplayer is heralded as being one of the best in the series, but I couldn't really get into that. I'm more of like a classic Halo 2, Halo 3 kind of guy. But Halo Infinite is going to be... There's rumors that it's actually going to be like an open world game and not like a typical Halo game too, so you never know.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be nuts for sure. Well, let's start with this. What do you guys expect to hear on Thursday? let's get that out of the way first. What do you expect to hear from the show?
So, I mean, I probably have the lowest expectations because I have not I don't know the history of what is due for another game on Xbox, let's say.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm expecting a new Forza because every generation I feel like we get a new Forza game, and we've had Horizon out for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming we'll get a new one of those. I'm sure they're going to show Hellblade 2 there also. And what else did I write? Those are the two big ones, and then possibly Fable.
That's it for me, man. I can't wait for that.
No, good.
But
All solid predictions, right? Like those are some core games in the Xbox library, or the Xbox history, I should say. All heavily rumored for sure. Athricus, how do you feel about Fable?
I think Fable is the shit. I think it's great. If I had to choose between getting a new Halo game and a new Fable game, I would choose getting a good Fable game as opposed to like a good Halo game.
Right.
But emphasize good.
Yeah, I do have to emphasize good. Like the last one was, it was fine in its own right, but not exactly my thing. Nothing compared to the first one.
The last one being Fable 3.
Fable 3, yeah.
Not Fable Journey.
I'm not counting all that
Connect crap.
There's something. The first one, they nailed something in atmosphere in that game, and I there's very few games that I've played that really hit home in that kind of immersive. I don't know what it was about that game at the time, and it was cool. Like at the time in Fable, like if you got a scar on your face, or you got hit with the sword in the face a certain way, you got a scar, it stayed there. Like there was all these types of kind of weird like things that weren't common at the time. And still really aren't, I guess. But there was just some cool features there. But the Fable 2 and 3 for me, I don't know, they didn't hit home. Fable 1 is like the originals, and I hope they go back to that if they do.
See, yeah, go ahead.
Well, just correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't actually know who's making the next Fable game, right? Like that's a studio. It's confirmed that it's being made, but the actual studio that's making it is like still keeping quiet.
Yeah, because I think it used to be, was it Lionhead that made it?
It was Lionhead. Yeah. I thought Microsoft bought Lionhead.
But is it still
Lionhead? I think is done, aren't they?
Lionhead's gone. Yes.
Is it still that Peter Molyneux guy though?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Oh, that changes things.
So I don't think Fable's confirmed, but it's like basically confirmed. Like it's like the worst kept secret, I think is what it is. So they had no one's come out and said, "Hey, here's Fable." But it's there.
It's happening.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So
I'm
kind of the odd one out here. I played Fable 1 and 3. I never actually played 2. I loved Fable 3. I thought it was awesome, and that was actually my first Fable experience. I played Fable 3 first, and I liked it on the Xbox 360. And then I played Fable Lost Chapters, whatever it is, on PC. And like I liked it, but maybe it's just because it's older and I don't have any nostalgia attached to it that I didn't really get into it.
Fable Original doesn't gameplay wise, it doesn't hold up great. Like their targeting system and all that stuff that they did, it doesn't age well that way. Like, but I think it's kind of the same as comparing like Breath of the Wild. This is kind of sort of Breath of the Wild is a great game, good game. Well, it's a great game, but Fable 3 was a good game, but it wasn't Fable. That's that, and Breath of the Wild wasn't Zelda. Like it's a great game, sure. But it's not. It just didn't, for me anyways. I don't know what Athricus, but that for me it just didn't hit the Fable thing. Also, Athricus's brother killed my wife. I got married in Fable 3, and then there was some multiplayer feature, and he came in and I think he like shot my wife in the head. I can't remember what you could do in that game. I just remember it was very. I told him you can come on my game, but don't mess with my wife. And then he killed my wife in that game. That was years and years ago. And I think it was last.
I forgot about that.
It saved immediately, and you never got her back.
Oh, that's right. It saved right away. That's right. I couldn't even like quit out.
Yeah. So it's just like, no, he wouldn't do that. Like I think he had like the crosshairs like on her face or whatever.
I'm like, oh, he won't do it. We already had this, and he just
did it. Yeah. He went there.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And so the showcase for me, I like Fable for sure would be a big thing. And then I guess the only other game I was thinking of is Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
So Perfect Dark for me growing up was probably the best shooter, and still I would argue to this day was one of the best shooters ever made in terms of customizable bots, maps, features, really cool. Like,
It was so innovative.
Back in the day when you went to your friend's house to play a game, right? And you did 4-player split screen or whatever. Perfect Dark was like the best shooter, I think. I think it topped GoldenEye too. There's been rumors about them kind of doing another Perfect Dark game. I didn't know if those were. I didn't know if there would be a big enough market for it, but it seems like there's a lot of hype generated around that on the subreddits I've been on. So I would be personally really happy if they drop Perfect Dark in that on Thursday.
It's interesting, right? Because there, like you said, is there a market for Perfect Dark? And a lot of people would say yes, and other people would say, well, they would rather just a brand new IP, right? But there's rumors that Perfect Dark is going to be a third-person action game with Joanna Dark as kind of like a Tomb Raider style game, which
cool.
That could be interesting too.
The last Perfect Dark was on the 360, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it was well received.
Perfect Dark Zero.
Yeah,
it wasn't. Didn't even hold a can. Same thing. Same thing as the Fable 3 Fable thing for me. It's just it just didn't stay true to the original.
Wasn't that a launch title for 360?
It was. Yeah.
And I never played a lot of it. I know we owned it, but yeah.
Same here though. I didn't put nearly as much time in it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I'd be all for it. I think I assume it wouldn't be Rare making it. I know Rare made the last one. I don't know if they made the 360 one, but they did the original. They did the original, like Perfect Dark, because that was a spiritual successor to GoldenEye. But yeah. So yeah, we expect to hear about Fable, Halo, Perfect Dark, Hellblade 2. I don't know if they'll show gameplay for that yet.
Right.
But I'm gonna
assume another trailer.
Yeah, we've got to see something, right? Like, is there anything else you guys expect to hear about on Thursday? Anything?
I mean, Forza, I just wouldn't be surprised, I guess. I don't know if I'm expecting it, but it's like, I'm just assuming it's going to be there. It's been years. And they're definitely, Forza Horizon 4 looks absolutely incredible playing on the Xbox One. And I'm sure that graphically they can even improve that even more on the next gen. So I think that would be a major hit for them.
I know we've talked about this in the past, but like racing games already look so good, right? They already look real. Like they basically look lifelike. So like, how the heck can they make that better? Right.
Honestly, yeah.
Now I'm sure if I re-listen to this or watch this in 20 years, I'll laugh at myself, call myself an idiot. But yeah.
I think another big thing I would like to see Microsoft get into is VR. I'd love to see them drop some kind of VR announcement. Maybe not necessarily on Thursday during the games thing, but like with PlayStation, they have their in-house VR setup that PSVR, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got like the Oculus Rift and stuff, which I own, and Calthar has as well. And I'm really passionate about the VR space, so I'd like to see Microsoft dive into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I had that written down as well. I said, are we going to see, maybe not necessarily on Thursday, but are we next gen going to see Xbox VR? And I think it was Phil Spencer came out, I mean, it might have been last year, and somebody asked him directly, are you going to be doing Xbox VR? And he said, well, no. And someone said, why? And he said, really, the main reason we're not doing it is because people aren't asking for it. Right, the core gamers are just saying, no, we just want good quality games to play on our TV. So on PlayStation, maybe they were clamoring for that. I don't know. But for Xbox players, they're just not really calling for it. That doesn't mean it's not coming, right? That could just be a deflection or whatever. But I mean,
like the PSVR is fine. But
do you own it?
Like
Vincent?
the Oculus, I do not. I've played it a bunch of times though. But the Oculus is just so much better than the PSVR,
is it? Okay.
and like incredibly better. Yeah. I'm obviously hoping for a PSVR 2 for PlayStation. And yeah, I do hope that Xbox has VR coming out too, because I don't think VR is going away. I think it definitely has an audience, like a very specific audience right now. But definitely Xbox would kill it in that marketplace, especially with Game Pass and being able to have VR games that you could play either on your PC or on your Xbox. I think that would be huge too. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on one right now.
That's a great point. If they actually made one that was cross-compatible with PC and Xbox, that'd be huge. And like you said, with Game Pass, that almost seems like a no-brainer. They should totally go for that. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Speaking of Game Pass, I forgot to mention this at the start. Did you know that Game Pass Ultimate is now going to include free xCloud usage?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Ooh,
which
wow.
is huge.
Yeah.
Like that's like
That's
massive, right? And there's nothing of this, none of this is confirmed yet, but there's heavy rumors that Xbox Live is going to go free. Xbox Live Gold will be free.
Wow,
That makes sense.
that'd be huge.
It would.
It's a pretty archaic business model to charge for an online service, like especially if you're trying to go against PC, where you don't have to pay for anything for PC online. To charge someone like $60 or $80 a year or whatever for something, it seems like that's going out of style.
Yeah, no, for sure. So if they just make Game Pass Ultimate, if they like cheapen it by $5 or something and include xCloud in that, like that would be huge.
Massive.
Like they're really trying to do
Yeah.
their best to put Sony on their heels, right? Because Sony won last gen hands down. Like I don't think there's any argument against that. 360 and PS3, I think most people would say 360 came out on top. But last generation PS4, Xbox One, like as soon as Xbox was revealed at E3, Xbox One, they were basically a laughing stock, right? I mean, like you couldn't.
It was the Kinect, man.
The Kinect was
bundle the
bundled.
Kinect?
Yeah,
It was garbage.
they bundled the Kinect. The price was awful. You couldn't share games. Remember that? Like you couldn't like use your disc on someone else's Xbox because it wouldn't read it or something.
DRM or whatever.
Did they backtrack that?
They
pretty
did,
sure,
yes. They got rid of that, but yeah, like it was just not a good showing for Xbox. Like now, since when Phil Spencer took over, things started to turn around a lot, right? He's the one that implemented like, well, I don't know if he implemented it, but like since he came around, like Game Pass came into play, and like he's just made good decisions, and ultimately Xbox has turned itself around, and they're really trying to get the foothold in the next generation, right? They're trying to basically just put Sony on their heels, right? Like they said they're agile on pricing, which basically means they're going to be cheaper than the PlayStation 5, right? Like I'm pretty sure no matter what price PlayStation comes out as, their Xbox is going to be at least $50 cheaper, I would assume.
I think it's crazy because like everybody who I listen to or talk to too is saying the same thing about PlayStation. You know, I think that it's going to come down to literally maybe a month before the consoles come out, like the very pre-order day till we get a price. I don't think these companies are both smart enough. Nobody wants to put out their price first.
It's a game of chicken, right? Like
absolutely.
They don't want to come out first because then
I mean, one of the Sony CEOs said they're willing to take a hit on the PS5. Like if it costs $500 to produce, they'll sell it for $400 because they know they'll make it up in games. I think that's a stupid business model, but I mean, it's Sony. They'll do what they want. Same with Microsoft, you know. But it is going to be it's just going to be a crazy competition. I cannot wait to see like what happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing is though, Microsoft is a lot richer than Sony, right? Like Microsoft is huge. So I think they have more room to do that. And I think that's what they did for the 360. They came out, they lost money on every console sold, right? Just because they wanted to get some market share. But Microsoft desperately needs market share for next gen. Like they need, and that's why there's rumors they're coming out with the Xbox Lockhart, which is basically like what the Xbox One S is now. It's like a cheaper version of the Xbox One X, right? Like they basically have the super model and like the regular model is what they're gonna likely come out with. But
you think that'll be revealed on Thursday?
I don't think so, and I think they said it's mostly they're just showing games. They just want to get the games out there, get people hyped, right?
Yeah. I mean, also, I guess I'd expect also a Game Pass update, like maybe some sort of like, here's the big number of games and here's the highlighted games that are coming when the new Xbox launches, because that's games related enough, and we'll get people to buy subscriptions. I mean, they already said the new Halo's coming out on Game Pass, right? Like when it launches.
Every first-party Xbox game is coming to Game Pass.
That's insane.
Which is
crazy to me.
Like that's insane.
Yeah, for $10 a month or $15 a month or whatever it is.
So think Halo, Fable, Perfect Dark, Hellblade. If they have Forza, like all these games, like every single game they're showing on Thursday is going to be on Game Pass. Which I don't know how they make money on that, but
yeah,
like it's nuts. Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, will all those be on PC or will all those be tied to the actual console itself?
Now, it's funny that you mentioned that because I think as like a couple days ago, Phil Spencer said Xbox Series X will not have any exclusives for the next 2 years,
which is awful.
At face value. But that's the thing. Is it really awful? So, okay, why do you think that's awful?
Yeah.
Because I don't, personally.
Okay, I think it's awful because, it's not awful for the consumer. It's great for the consumer because they can play on their Xbox One, or they can play on their Xbox Series X. Most of these games, probably not all of them. I'm sure there's some that won't run on the Xbox One. But I think it does not encourage people that have the Xbox One to upgrade if they know that they can get all the latest and greatest games on the console that they already have. And especially for me, I have a PlayStation and a PC. If I can play all these games on my PC, there's literally no reason for me to buy an Xbox if I want my Sony first parties.
That's true.
That's my thought process, but I totally am willing to be wrong on that one. Like that's just like something I've thought about because I saw that Phil Spencer quote too, and I read the article, all that kind of stuff. But that's just that's where my thought process is at. But I don't know.
No, it's fair points for sure.
See, I like the game. I like the Game Pass. I look at it more as the series exclusives. Does he mean also did I read something saying that all of the games would be on PC as well, or did I misread that? So, is that the first party games?
That I'm not entirely sure, but I think what he's getting at is that there are going to be no games released in the next 2 years that are only going to be on Xbox Series X. Meaning it's going to be on Xbox One and Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Xbox Series X. The Xbox family, Xbox ecosystem is what it is.
Like their money printing, I would assume that they're printing money on this Game Pass. As subscription-based services is what every company loves to do from a business perspective and an economic standpoint, because it's insane when you get millions and millions of people paying $15-20 a month, whatever it is, to access a games library. They're not doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. So obviously Game Pass is producing more money than them just selling the games separately, right? So to me, the Game Pass is worth if I have the choice to play a game, or if I can buy a game, because I think if you buy a first party game, you also get access to it. Like Forza, for example, you buy Forza once, it's Xbox Play Anywhere or whatever it's called, and you can play it on PC or play it on your Xbox. I love that kind of stuff. So I can go on my PC when I want to. I go on my Xbox. I love that they're giving me choice. I have a huge problem with what Sony has done for the longest time with crossplay. They really pissed me off in the last couple years, where they were the last ones holding out. Every other game, all these other companies were willing to go in on crossplay and gaming developers and stuff, but Sony was holding out on that for a long time and wanted their own kind of market. So I like the integration. But I do agree with Vincent that I don't see if he's saying that they're going to have every first party game on Xbox One. I don't like that move. I don't like I like them pushing to the next thing. I know people, there's a whole thing about developers staying true to their fan base, and some of their fan base won't want to upgrade to a new system. But I'm just very forward thinking and early adopter, and I would rather them invest heavily into the new systems and not worry about the old systems. So I'm a little bit I'm interested where he's going to take that. I don't know if I like that approach.
They're all good points for sure. Athricus, do you want to weigh in on this? Do you think Microsoft should just say forget Xbox One, let's just go to the Series X? What do you think?
No, I think they should give you incentive to go to the new Xbox somehow. Certainly don't think they should build a new console and not give you any reason to go over. But I don't know if enough people are that into the Game Pass yet, to the point where they're afraid that just no one's going to get a new Xbox, and all the games you'll be able to play on the old consoles. So I don't know what else they could give you other than a game system, but I'm sure it'll be something.
Yeah, no, for sure. So here's my take. I think that if you're Sony, this would be a bad move. If you were Sony saying, yes, everything, you can play on PS5, PS4, it doesn't really matter, that would be a bad move because they already have market share. They're already winning that. They already have, I don't know what the percentage is, but more gamers play on PlayStation than on Xbox, which is fair. Xbox is trying to just get people in their ecosystem, whether that's through PC or Xbox One, Xbox One S, whatever. Microsoft does not care. They just want gamers playing on their platform. So if that means they're playing on Xbox One and they're playing Halo Infinite, give them the choice to play on Xbox One or Xbox Series X. If they want the best experience, they're already advertising saying, hey, Series X is a massively powerful console. Not that PlayStation 5's not, but for the exclusives, which is what really they're pushing on Thursday, if you want to play some awesome kick-ass exclusives, play on Xbox Series X. However, if you can't afford a Series X right now, that's totally fine. Just get Game Pass. You can already play all these games on Xbox One. And if you want to buy the games outright, we have the smart delivery system, which means if you buy the game once, as Erebus was talking about earlier with the Play Anywhere, if you buy a game once, you can play it on the next gen right away, right? Cyberpunk is going to be the same way when that comes out. You buy Cyberpunk once, you play it on the next gen.
But doesn't that stifle innovation? Like, does that not, like, I just don't understand. Like, if they're making the commitment that first party games are all going to be available on Xbox One, and there's certain features that require the power of the Xbox Series X to, like, as a gameplay element within a first party game, but they've got to curb their programming or whatever so that it works on a different system. Does that not slow things down in terms of progression, in terms of games, or am I looking at that wrong?
I don't think so. Think about it from a PC perspective, right? Like if a game releases on PC, like Fortnite is probably a terrible example, but like that runs on pretty much any kind of PC, right? There's not many games that come out now that say you need a top high-end machine to run it, right? Like the graphics are flexible. You can lower graphics, raise graphics. So I think there was an interview that I think it was Phil Spencer gave last couple days. I don't know, Vincent, you might have heard about this too. But he basically said, because people were complaining, saying, oh, are game companies purposely dumbing down their games and not reaching their potential because they feel like they have to develop for Xbox One and Series X? And Phil Spencer's like, no. Like, the games are fully developed to be maximized, and that can take full use of the Series X. Or if they need to be dumbed down a little bit for Xbox One, then that's what they'll do. But the game's maximum potential can be achieved through the Xbox Series X, right? So I don't know. I personally am okay with it. I think it's a great idea. And again, Microsoft is just trying to win over people. If they lose money because a lot of people aren't buying the new system, but maybe they're like, okay, well, I can't afford a Series X, but I'm going to get the cheap version of maybe in just a regular Xbox and just to get into the ecosystem. And I can still play all these games, right? And if I want to invest in a Series X in the future, I have smart delivery, so I can take all these games over.
So
that's
I
the way I
guess
see it.
I totally see like that viewpoint too. The only I don't know, counter that I have, I guess, is that I think this is a great move in general, in my opinion. This is a great move that you're going to be able to play games on the PC, on the Xbox One, and the Series X. From a console competition standpoint, this is a bad decision to me. I see this as a consumer who wants to play these games at a convenience, I guess. It's way more convenient for me to play something on my PC than to buy the next console because it's available on the PC. And if that's going to be 1 month of Game Pass for $15 instead of $500 for a console or $400 for a console, I'm definitely going to do that. And so that scares me that the Xbox wouldn't sell as well as the PlayStation 5. Now I'm saying there's a lot of other obviously like things that go into that, variables and stuff. And I don't know that the PlayStation 5 is going to win in money this generation or whatever it is. I don't know who's going to win, but I really think that this is a bad move for competition, but a good move for just the average consumer.
I would agree with that.
It's good points too, but you also have to think about if Xbox is losing money on every console they sell, but if you're on PC and you buy Game Pass Ultimate and you have the Game Pass for PC, you're in their ecosystem, right?
Yep.
So if you bought their Series X, that's cool, but that doesn't really help them.
Sure.
Right? From a financial perspective, that's the way I see it. I mean, I'm not in economics or anything like that, but that's the way I look at it.
And that works. I mean, that checks out. It's just a matter of when it comes down to it, the average person's going to look at the numbers of consoles sold and decide who's going to win this generation, you know? So, but I think obviously we're having a conversation about it, which is like the way it should be. And obviously, if we were to look at like what the consoles are doing, that's different than the numbers that are selling, and both have very big pros and very big cons to both of them. Like obviously PS4 has sold more than the Xbox this generation, but I don't necessarily think that the PlayStation has won in a lot of these categories, such as I think PlayStation Now is an absolute abomination. It's terrible. But xCloud in beta, I hear, is amazing. I'm now on Game Pass because I have a PC. Things like that I think Xbox is miles ahead of PlayStation. And like PlayStation has a long way to catch up over there. And that might be a more successful thing in some people's mind than the actual unit selling. So it's just a matter of what you, like where you're coming from.
It's kind of a good point, and then it kind of in a roundabout way, you swing back to why I will never get a PlayStation, because of their refusal to integrate themselves into. Firstly, it was the crossplay issue. So if I had a PS5, I couldn't play with my friends on PC or on Xbox or those types of things. And then they're not in the PC ecosystem at all. Like, so there's no the fact that I can kind of with an Xbox, and this is more of a, like, if I want, if somebody wants to spend the money, and not everybody would, but like if I wanted to have the luxury of having an Xbox Series X that was similar to the power of my PC and have that set up, on the big screen, and I can play it there, and then I'm getting on my computer with my friends and just seamlessly transfer back and forth and play my games in both places. For me, that's a market where I would buy a Series X for that. I do agree though, like it's a strange business model if they're like, to what you're saying, Kelthar, like if you're saying like, well, if they just want you in their ecosystem, as long as you're on Game Pass, they don't really care. But it's very strange to like concede that and just assume that they're not going to, like, they want to outsell Sony. I would assume they do on this console. So it'd be really strange for them to like set it up this way, that like for someone like Vincent to not want to buy an Xbox Series X because of the decisions that they're making when he's a PlayStation gamer and they're trying to get PlayStation gamers to buy their system. So I find it weird. Like we don't have a crystal, like they obviously have a strategy around this that we don't fully understand.
Right.
But I can't see how their business model would be as long as we get you on Game Pass. Like we don't really need you to buy our console. Like and they're fine just conceding that PS5 is gonna, or PS6, what is it? PS5 is gonna double their sales or something. So it'd be interesting. It's interesting. I never thought about it until we started talking about it, but it is a weird setup that they're doing.
I think being the nice guy in this day and age where most companies are in it for the dollar goes over really big with consumers.
Absolutely.
I think that if they're going to be nice and they're going to be like, hey, we've got this new system. It's awesome. It's going to run everything at 4K, 120 FPS, just nuts. But you don't got the money. That's fine. Play it on the systems you have now. I know I personally would be significantly more inclined to, when I do have money, to buy the Xbox as opposed to buying the PlayStation, who's like, we've got 50 exclusives, but you got to buy our new stuff. You got to give us money. I'm going to lean more towards Xbox because they were nice. They were lenient. They gave me what I wanted. And that's my opinion, at least.
No, good points for sure, right?
Which is interesting because PlayStation, one of the things I used to read about PlayStation was their dedication to their loyal fan base. So they would always, like, they'd keep their PS2 games or PS3 games updated. Like they had, maybe Vincent knows more about this than me, but I know they still were releasing stuff on PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 and updating their games for a long time after like, the new systems came out. Whereas Xbox wasn't doing that for a long time. I remember reading about that. And that was one of the differences between PlayStation and Xbox at the time. So it's interesting to see kind of the shift.
I mean, the only example of that I can think of is on the base PS3, you were able to play the PS2 games. And so I would play Star Wars Battlefront 2 from the PS2 on there. And they had an update that came out on the PS3 that updated like basically how smooth it was. It wasn't anything big or anything like that, but I thought that was a cool thing. But ever since then, I can't think of an example of like things that they've upgraded from PS3 or anything like that.
Yeah. And to be fair, like there are gamers out there that and maybe like yourself, Vincent, that you like new is always better. You want to forget the old stuff. You just want to move on and get the next best thing, right? And there's a lot of people that are like that, right? They have the money to fork out and just spend $500-$600 and just get a brand new console and then sell the other one, whatever, right? But
Right.
I think I think it's a good idea, like personally, just to have options. I think more options is better. And now Microsoft also has xCloud in the factor, right? Everybody has
Yep.
a phone, right?
Which is huge.
Yeah.
xCloud's going to be giant.
Yeah. So
What, you guys don't have phones?
Oh, you dropped that line.
yeah. But think about it, like, and Erebus, I think you said earlier, like subscriptions make money, like they print money, right? So would they rather sell more consoles or get more people sign up to their subscriptions?
Yeah, but I don't like that. I said it, but I don't like it because
But what makes more money? They care about money.
I know they care about money. I'm not. That's not my argument. I'm saying personally and selfishly, what I want is them to invest everything into that console and make it absolutely insane. I don't want them to accommodate the Xbox One users. And yes, it's a nice thing to do, like Atheric has said, and all that stuff for people that. But I personally am early adopter. I love technology. I love kind of like just seeing where they can take it. I know Phil Spencer is saying it's not stifling gaming innovation. I just think overall gaming innovation has been stifled, and maybe that's a whole other debate for a different week. But I think that and we talked about this in some other podcasts, that gaming has been stifled because of the limits of. Because the other thing with consoles, you got to remember, as a PC gamer, for me, the PC is usually worlds ahead of the top consoles. Usually, the console will come out, right, and then the PC will keep going, and get better, and the console's stuck for years, right, and then they release the next console, and then it catches up again.
Yeah.
So what happens is when all these games that come out that, like Call of Duty, we play Call of Duty on PC, Call of Duty Warzone, right? Like if that was a PC only game, would it look different than what it looks like because it has to cross play with consoles and all that stuff? So if the console is limited in its design and its abilities, that's going to affect PC because when they're making games that are able to be played on all the different systems. See, and I know you might disagree with that, Kelther, because you said it's not like they're saying they're able to maximize their gains. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, and personally, I think that's the way it is, because if you think about it, like if you look at how Warzone looks on your computer versus mine, with all your specs and everything, like it's night and day. Like Warzone does not look good on my computer, but on yours it's huge. But we're both on PCs, right? I think it's just the same thing. It's like if you play max graphics on a game, console's just going to be a little bit worse, right? And Series X
you're thinking more. You're talking graphics only. I'm talking about like just the actual like what they've done in games. Like think about big milestones in games where they're adding hundreds of things on a screen, or they're doing all these different things that require processing power and different types of things like that. I think that yes, obviously I can turn a graphics up and down, which just affects the visually what the game looks like. But I'm talking about the core experience of the game and what they can actually do in terms of like processing power. And like I'll be interested to see like Cyberpunk, for example. Cyberpunk's coming out and they're saying they have like all these NPCs that have individual paths and programming and stuff like that requires a tremendous amount of processing power. How is that going to look on console? Obviously, are they conceding stuff to make it work on console, or like what are they doing, right? I know like Witcher 3, when they got Witcher 3 on the Switch, they removed NPCs, right, to make it work. So yeah, I'm kind of arguing against myself now.
Exactly.
They have
the
have
Prime
ways to
version of the game of Witcher 3, for example, looks amazing on PC.
But again, I know I agree with you. I agree on the graphics part. I'm saying the actual gameplay experience and the design of new types of games. Maybe
let me throw like another variable in here that we have. Halfway through this generation, we've had the PS4 Pro and we've had the Xbox One X, right?
Yeah.
And those are the more powerful, and they both can do 4K, not quite 60 frames per second, but they both do 4K. So let's say resolution isn't an issue. This is especially for Xbox. Why would someone upgrade to the 4K Xbox Series X if they already have the Xbox One X that plays 4K and they don't really care about 60 frames per second, let's say? Or the PS4 Pro player in the same exact thing. Why would they upgrade to the PS5 if they could play games on both? I have the base PS4, so like I didn't want to spend on the PS4 Pro because I knew just a couple years later I could upgrade to the 5.
Sure.
But I think there's going to be a lot of people in the situation that are not going to upgrade right away because they have just bought a new or a mid console cycle release, whatever that's going to be. That's going to come down to the games that come out exclusively for the platform to sell those people on the next gen, in my opinion.
So if you're one of those people and you're an Xbox
Yeah.
fan and you're an Xbox owner, you own an Xbox One X,
Yep.
and all these new awesome games are announced on Thursday, yeah, you don't need to spend a cent. You can play all those games right when they come out. Whereas if you're a PlayStation fan and you have the PS4 Pro, you're like, oh shit, I need to move up and get the PS5.
Yep.
So again,
It's going to be interesting.
it is going to be interesting. Absolutely.
There's so many unknowns too, right? Like we could talk about it forever, but we're not thinking about this and that.
Yeah.
That'll come up in the coming months.
Variables. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
No, definitely.
Erebus, do you think that all games should be designed for PC and then downgraded for consoles? Would you think that would be better? Design it for the best of the best, and then if you've got a console that can't handle what the best of the best is going to offer, then just diminish it until the point where it works on the console, as opposed to the opposite, which is design it for the console and then put it on the PC. But
right. So I agree. I think I see where you're going. I agree with selfishly, yes. I would want to see the top product developed on PC, and then if they can make a workable thing on console, but that could severely limit the experience for console users if they have to make a lot of trade-offs, right? So I know they're always trying to build a game that's in a playable state and a good state for everything that for each system. But yes, if it was up to me, of course, I would love to see them start with PC, make the Cadillac like the game, and push innovation, and then the consoles are forced to catch up to be able to run those games.
Do you think that would destroy consoles? Do you think that
Yes.
most people would start pushing towards getting PCs and consoles would be?
Well, now we're starting to tease into the PC console debate, and again, like my experience on a PC, like what I do on a PC is, I would argue is like you can't. It's very difficult to play on consoles, even Xbox Series X, I think it is, and all those types of things. They're expensive, and they don't deliver the same experience that I can get on PC. So like it's a tough one for me. Like what PlayStation is doing is interesting. Back to kind of what Vincent was talking about. Like if they're going like hard on PS5 and they're just like they're sort of trying to really mandate that people upgrade their systems to play their newest games. Like that's more like that would be more going after the PC gamer, because if I want to play like the new Last of Us and all these, like that's where they get you, right? Is the exclusives. And then you're like, I got to get a PlayStation. I don't have the choice to play it on PC, but they've released amazing games that really make you want to get a PlayStation. And so a lot of people will have that trifecta of PlayStation, PC, and then a Nintendo Switch or whatever to get all the exclusives. Right?
There it is. There's the dream.
That's the dream, right?
Well, I think the only reason I assume you own any sort of console is because of the exclusives.
Yeah, I mean, I think the PlayStation exclusives like God of War, Last of Us, those are some of the best games I've ever played. Now,
and I wish I could play God of War. That'd be
same
awesome. But I don't want to spend $600 to play a game.
And I get it. I understand. Yeah, I understand that. On one hand, I love exclusives. It's very cool. It's something that I can say like, oh yeah, I've played it because I have a PlayStation. That it's like a cool community thing for PlayStation, I think, or a cool. Oh, my light turned off. Or a cool like Xbox thing. If there's an exclusive there that PlayStation can't play, it builds the community much stronger there. So that's one of the reasons I think it's such a big, like, you have two sides, we have an Xbox side and we have a PlayStation side because of exclusives and these communities that they've built within them. If there were no exclusives, I don't think, like, why would we even have two consoles if there weren't exclusives? Like, I can't think, like, can you guys think of a reason that like there would be two?
I think if we didn't have exclusives, we wouldn't have consoles.
Exactly.
Probably have really cheap PC builders that build a PC for you, and for like
I'm pretty new to PC in general. I've used Mac pretty much like my whole life too. So this is like I got a PC so that I can run the podcast that I have. I can finally play games on it that I can't play on my PlayStation, which is awesome. It's like kind of like best of both worlds. But at the end of the day, I don't want to deal with tech issues on my computer. I'm only a little bit tech savvy, just enough I built my PC, and I've already had to troubleshoot like reinstalling Windows because it couldn't find Windows when it booted up, things like that. That makes me like not want to buy Cyberpunk on my PC because like, am I going to am I going to freak out every time I turn on the power button and hope something's not wrong? Obviously, I know that's dramatic because most people use PCs daily and there's no problems there. But I want, like, having a PlayStation and it's just or Xbox is just reliable. I'm going to turn it on, and almost 100% of the time it's going to function just perfectly as I want it to. And I think that ease of convenience is why people don't play PC as well.
I wonder if exclusives didn't exist, if Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo didn't exist, if those companies didn't, if their consoles didn't exist, whether consoles would be replaced with operating systems, and you would have a couple of different companies building an operating system, and you could install this operating system on, a certain, these parts. You can buy these parts, you can put it together, install the operating system, and it will run perfectly like an Xbox, like a PlayStation. But you don't have to worry about building that and running Windows, which is used for gaming and 1,000 other things.
So it's like Vincent said, it just avoids all the, complicated
all the
crap. And it
garbage,
just, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But
I would argue it, like, and that's, I've heard that argument, or I've heard that claim a lot about console gaming, that like, the reason I really wanted to get into PC gaming, or why I advocate for PC gaming, is cost, right? Because, like, once you pay that initial upfront value of your computer, maintaining, like, I bought my 1080 Ti, 3 years ago now or something like that, and it's still like way ahead of everything else that I like that consoles have produced, right? So I'm getting that experience, and then the game prices. Now, it's interesting with Game Pass and to see what PlayStation does to see how they compete with this. But historically, on a console, you're paying $59.99 American or $79.99 Canadian, whatever, for a game every single time, like with new releases. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, on Steam and stuff, which you'll find out getting into the realm of PC gaming, Steam and all those types of services, you can get stuff for nothing.
Couple bucks,
a couple bucks. So it's like there's lots of cost savings over time. So I think the cost of owner, but I do agree that the struggle PC has obviously is the tinkering with it, the graphic settings, the glitches, the things that it's not, you just plug and play, right? For a lot of cases. So, but I think if you're as passionate about gaming as you seem to be, if you wanted to maximize your experience, I think that's where PC comes in. Because, like, for one of the things I mentioned to Kelther about this podcast is, for me, that what's interesting in the console is, like, I'm a dedicated PC gamer, pretty hardcore, or I used to be before becoming a father, but I was really into PC gaming. I want to see, like, what these consoles try to do to the PC gamers as well, to try to get why should I buy an Xbox Series X, or why should I buy a PlayStation 5 when I've got this set up here? Like, what is the point of me getting a console? Like, are they going to try that, or do they not care? They're going after the people that just don't want to be bothered with PC gaming, or are they really trying to pull that?
The answer to that is scary because you don't feel like you should go to PS5 or Xbox Series X already is like a sign that they're not going for that audience, right? Like, that's why Game Pass on PC is a thing. That's their answer to PC players. Their answer isn't buy an Xbox, because they know PC people that play dedicated PC, like you, I'd assume, know that PC will run the games better than the consoles will if you have the parts and stuff like that. And if you've been playing it your whole life, obviously you don't want to switch to a controller, because people that have been playing keyboard and mouse their whole life don't even want to go to a controller. That's not even something that they're too interested in doing, So it's, I don't know. I don't see the PC market like jumping on a PS5. Like, it's just not how it's going to go, I don't think, unless PlayStation has their own Game Pass thing or whatever that's going to look like.
But maybe that's what they saw. Maybe they saw in their marketing analytics that PC gamers, there weren't enough people that were dedicated PC gamers buying Xbox. So why not just give them everything and get the publicity and get them in the sphere?
And it's smart.
It is. I think it's smart. I think it's going to pay off.
And it seems like PlayStation is not, from what I've seen anyways, in the limited research I've done, PlayStation doesn't care about playing in that space. Like, it doesn't seem like it's a big bummer. Yeah, like they've got their exclusive, thing going on. That's what they're known for, all of their exclusive games, and they've got their loyal, PlayStation people, and gamers that play and will buy the new console every time. And maybe that's all they want. But I'm surprised that they didn't try to like compete with Microsoft in that space on PC or try to do that. It's almost like they're just absent in that.
I'm really hoping it's like a not yet kind of thing. Like they're still working on it and it hasn't come yet.
Well, and we've talked about this before too. Like game streaming is the future, right? And they already have. Is it PlayStation Now? Is that what it's called on PC?
Yeah, PlayStation Now is game streaming, but it's weak. It's like their library's weak, and their actual service itself has a very, very small percentage of PlayStation players subscribing to that.
But they're there, right? They're starting, right? It's like you said, not yet, but you know, it could be the norm eventually too. But I think another thing you got to consider too is that maybe the companies aren't trying to get you to give up what you've already have. They're just trying to get you to consider what they have as well.
Right.
Like if you're an huge Xbox fan, and you see some crazy PlayStation exclusives, you're like, they want you to consider like, man, I got to get both of these systems, right? And that I think that's what they want. Ultimately, they want you to give up the other one too. But right, it's kind of like if you're a PC gamer, you know, if you see some cool Xbox exclusives, okay, well, get Game Pass. Or if you see some good PlayStation exclusives, well, you keep your PC, but you buy PlayStation just to play those exclusives, right? So, yeah,
but gamers want choice, and they're getting choice almost everywhere except PlayStation. Like that's where I'm finding, like I just don't. Like Xbox, like what Africa said, like they maybe they did see a market. They said, well, geez, we're not going to get these PC gamers, so we're going to start offering our games on PC, or we're going to offer our service through PC. Like, why isn't PlayStation saying like putting something, like if they put Last of Us on PC, or they did some kind of like subscription based, that would go insane. Like I can't. There's so many people that like God of War, like Africa, all these games that people want to play, like it would go nuts. It would go absolutely insane if they did that. But
now, I think it is on PlayStation Now, but the problem with PlayStation Now too is that you need a PlayStation controller to play the games, which drives me nuts. Because otherwise, maybe I'd consider paying for that, right? Because I think Last of Us is on it, and God of War, and different games like that.
Last of Us 1 is on there. I'm not sure if God of War is or not.
But that's asinine to me. I didn't even know that. So so they require you to use a PlayStation controller for that. Like that's just the dumbest thing. Like I don't understand why they restrict that. And also, streaming is not in a competitive space yet. Like it's still in, like from what I've seen on the streaming games or playing games through, like, well, we talked about Stadia, which is god awful, but even these other things, like until they get it down, we talked about before, until they get it to a point where it can be competitive, there's going to only be a specific market for that as well. So
I'd say like 2025. I'm thinking it's going to be
Once they get this whole 5G stuff going and all the.
It'll be a while.
Yeah, once they get the internet evolves. I think that's what's limiting it right now is the internet itself. Once they get that,
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon, but one part I did want to talk about: wishful thinking here. What do you hope to get from Xbox next gen, or what do you hope to hear from the announcement on Thursday? Any specific games or anything? It could be a pipe dream, whatever. But like, what are you hoping for? So, Erebus, we'll start with you. Is there anything that you really hope you're going to see?
I really hope I see some kind of VR integration with Xbox for sure. I'm huge into VR. Like I love the technology, and I want to see Microsoft's take on it, and the thought of having it cross compatible with my PC and just all that stuff. That would get me into the market pretty quick. And I want the games to blow me away. I want to see 144 FPS. I don't know. Have they said the FPS on the Xbox? Is it 120?
I think
they said 120 for certain games.
Yes, right. Yeah. So that's already not like I'm huge into frames. I think once you go to 144, 165 frames, it's really difficult to go back. And so I'd like to see maximizing that, and then just the graphics, the ray tracing. Like for me to consider the console, I'm thinking about getting it, like the new Xbox console. So this is big for me to see. I would expect to see the games at least rival what I've got going on my PC now, and will really exceed it with the ray tracing, all the different things that they can do. Because I can't run. If I put everything up to 4K on my computer, if I had a 4K thing down here, I wouldn't be able to run it well. Like 4K is incredibly taxing on your computer. So if they have something that can run stuff at 4K, and I can play kind of my single player immersive games on the big screen and play at a ridiculous setting, and and it truly does blow me away in terms of what they can do with the system, then I'm all in. So that's what I would expect them to do if I'm going to drop $500 or $600 on a console.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is there any game in particular you're hoping? Nothing that's been announced or anything?
So for me, it's the we talked about Fable, for Perfect Dark, all that stuff. The thing we haven't really talked about is we're all very big into the NHL series, like the NHL hockey games, which are console. Like if NHL came to PC, I would die happy. But for now, it's been on Xbox, and the limiting factor has been we've had like some input lag issues and stuff like that, and those games really haven't evolved. I'd really like to see NHL and other sports games show like a huge leap in what they can do on these new consoles with the new power that they have. So I'd like to see a big change. And so I'm hoping I would like to see on Thursday, like maybe the reveal of NHL 20, whatever it is, 1 or whatever it is now. Or
you won't see it on Thursday because it is only first party stuff.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's only first party.
But
that's
they
right.
are having it is only first party. That's my understanding. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw stuff that said there is going to be third party, but I could be totally wrong.
Okay. I thought the last one they had in May was all third party, which didn't go over well, and this one is all strictly first party. Like I said, I could be wrong, but I thought that's what I read.
They definitely said they're going to have 15 first party studios showcasing, which is crazy.
That's wild.
That's wild.
And it's only an hour long. And
I don't know if it's
and we have to assume Halo Infinite's going to take a chunk of that.
Absolutely. That's going to be easy 25 minutes.
Yeah.
How long is the conference?
I think it's about an hour, and they said they are dedicating a lot to Halo Infinite, and they're showing the campaign specifically. So
cool.
So yeah, but no.
I'm seeing third party. Third party looks like there will be some.
Okay.
It won't.
Yeah, I stand corrected.
It's a first party focus, but third party will have some sort of showing.
Well, NHL would be sick for
that makes it more exciting. Games, You might see some completely random drop out of nowhere.
Exactly. Right? This is why I'm excited. Batman. Show us Batman. You know what I mean? We want the new Arkham game. We've had rumors that it's going to be at the next DC Comics like online event or whatever, but I think we've had the rumors that Xbox is going to buy who's making it? Not Rocksteady, but who made Origins? Arkham Origins?
I can't remember, but I remember that big rumor. It was
that's a big rumor. So what if
WB, right?
That? Yeah, WB is like the publisher, I think, but could be. Anyways, that would be huge if they had some sort of agreement. Not that Xbox bought the company, but that it was gonna. WB Montreal. Someone said it in the comments. Yes. Perfect. Yeah, you're right. It would be huge if Batman was shown on Xbox, not necessarily as an Xbox exclusive, but as like the content's coming first to Xbox. That would be a huge win for them, I think. And as a Batman Arkham fan, I would be extremely overjoyed.
That'd be huge. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's a series I still need to try. I tried a bit of Arkham, like the first one, Arkham Asylum, I think. But it's fun, and it is my kind of game. I just need to give it a fair chance for sure.
I'm saying I haven't played it, but I've watched a few Let's Plays, and the atmosphere, immersion, and that and just the fighting in general looks incredible in those games.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Athricus, what are you hoping to hear either on Thursday or just in general from Xbox?
There's two things I want in my dreams. I think we both, at least Erebus and Kelthar, will agree with me when we say the next Horizon game should be in Tokyo.
Forza Horizon, yes.
Right. Forza Horizon, yeah. If they can do that for me, that'd be great.
Oh,
and
man,
then
that would be so awesome.
I want a fully open world Fable game along the same lines as Breath of the Wild.
You might get it.
If I can get a full open world Breath of the Wild style game, I would even if they made an exclusive for the new Xbox, I'd buy the Xbox for that.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. You underestimate how much this man loves Fable.
But it has to be open world, create your own character, and for the love of God, your character cannot speak. That's all I ask. I feel like that really took away from the
it did. Yeah. I don't like character speaking when you're as a protagonist in most games. I like it when they don't speak. But,
or at least you have a couple of dialogue options.
Choices.
You choose which one. Yeah.
Yeah. Fable though would be so like if they do it right, man.
Open world. It doesn't even have to be MMO. Just multiplayer. You can go in with like 5 or 6 of your friends and just explore the world and do challenges, puzzles, and stuff. I'd love that.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome, dude. for sure. Vincent, is there anything you're hoping to hear, or is there anything that if there was an announcement made that would be like, holy crap, I may have to switch to Xbox? Is there anything that would do that for you?
The problem is like I want to be open to the idea that I can switch to Xbox, but like I cannot think of a single thing that would buy me over. But that's coming from someone who has a PC who can play the Xbox exclusives.
Right.
Now, if you were to ask someone that did not have the PC, that would be a whole different answer. But I'm trying to put myself back in those shoes. Like if I didn't have a PC, and I still cannot think of something that would win me over, even though Xbox is the more powerful console.
Mm-hmm.
I think playing the PlayStation's exclusives, that's just enough for me to buy the PlayStation 5. But that's just me. That won't be everybody.
So would you ever consider getting the PlayStation and an Xbox?
I mean, money-wise, there's no way. But I mean, absolutely. If I had the money, I would definitely buy both. Because actually, wait, now that I have a PC, I would not buy both. But if I did not have a PC, I would definitely consider buying both.
Interesting. Okay. Fair enough. So is there any games that you like? I know you're not really an Xbox fan, but was there any games that like? I guess
I'm Halo. Yeah, that's
Halo.
Super excited for Halo. I mean, people are rumoring that there's going to be a battle royale, which I'm not like super into, but I think they could definitely pull it off. I think 343 would be able to. And yeah, just the rumors about how big the story is going to be, and like you said, it may be open world. Like who knows?
Mm-hmm.
This is a whole new generation of Halo, so we'll see.
Yeah, and it is basically a reboot of the franchise too. So they're like, and they
Is it
know
really?
how bad. It's not an official reboot, but it basically is, right? Like they had Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is just they want to go back to the roots of like just Master Chief, focus on him rather than all these extra peripherals and stuff. But they need to knock this game out of the park, right? Like, and read several articles and I heard different people say that this event in general is arguably the most important event in the history of Xbox.
I'm so excited. Like I don't mean to downplay it because I know I'm a PlayStation fan, but I'm super excited to see this.
Yeah, it's huge, right? Because if they don't knock this out of the park, then and they don't give people reasons to consider Xbox, then Xbox is toast, right? They want to get market share, and to get that, they need the games, right? With Game Pass, people aren't going to sign up for Game Pass if the games aren't good, right? So that's why I'm super hyped because they have to make this good. There's no option to make this bad, like the whole event. And Halo Infinite again is like when you think of Halo, you think of Microsoft and Xbox, so like it has to be good. As for games, I'm hoping for a third Banjo-Kazooie game because Banjo-Kazooie is awesome. So whether it's made by Rare or not, so Banjo 3E. And something that I would love to be brought back is Burnout. Burnout 4. Would you guys want that?
They're not, but they're like
Again, wishful thinking. I'm not expecting this.
I know. I was a hardcore Burnout 3 player, and Burnout Revenge and Burnout Paradise took it in a direction I just hated the franchise. So yes, if they did a full reboot back to their roots, but yeah, like a good Burnout or like Forza, whatever they're showing. Like I love racing games too, so like a good racing showcase on Thursday too of some games would be cool. Like you said, like I can't see where they can take racing games. So it'll be interesting to see what the new technology shows.
I'm telling you guys, Forza is going to be insane. The next Forza, whatever it is, it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, they're always ahead too, man. Like they're always like it's always the best looking game every single time they show
definitely. And to my knowledge, there's never been a bad Forza game.
No, they nail it every time.
But that's almost the problem because they're just expected to be good, so it's like people don't really think about them. Oh, another Forza, it's gonna be awesome, 10 out of 10. But no, definitely. Cool. Is there any other final points you guys want to make about any of the Xbox discussion before we move on to the trivia? Is there anything like? Are you guys going to watch it live? Or are you going to tune in later, or what? Like I'm watching it live. I'm going to drop everything.
I'm going to watch it live.
I already told my wife.
What time is this?
It's going to be is it 12 Eastern, I believe?
Yeah, it's 8 a.m. my time. So yeah, 12 Eastern your time.
12 Eastern, so 1:30 my time. Yeah.
I'll have that on at work then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Yeah,
so
me and
excited.
James are gonna do live reactions on Twitch to it.
Are you?
Oh, really?
that's awesome.
I'll tune in and watch that.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, I was considering doing some kind of live reaction. I still might. I might be able to, but we'll see.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah. So I think we'll wrap up that discussion. But either way, it's going to be an awesome show on Thursday, and I cannot wait. So this trivia question I have is actually about Microsoft, and it is because I often struggle to find trivia questions that relate to what we're talking about, but this one actually does. So for those that aren't aware of the format of how this trivia works, and Vincent, I'm not sure if you know, so I'll tell you now. I'm going to say the question, and I'll read out 4 multiple choice answers. Okay? If you know the answer 100%, then I will go to you last so that the other guys don't know the answer. But if you don't know the answer, then that's fine, and I'll trust that you're not Googling or looking at Twitch chat or anything like that. All right. So this game was revealed at Macworld Expo way back when. I won't tell you the exact date because that might indicate might give away the answer. But so Apple had an opportunity to buy this company and hold exclusivity, but they actually decided not to, which they regretted. And ultimately, Microsoft won out. So what was the game shown at Macworld Expo that Apple did not actually decide to buy? Was it Burnout, Fable, KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, or Halo? So I'll say it again. So this game was at Macworld Expo, and it was actually shown on a stage in an E3 style format on an Apple stage, but Apple didn't go ahead with buying the company. The game shown was what? Was it Burnout, Fable, KOTOR, or Halo? Now, does anybody know this? Seeing these people shake their heads. No. I thought it was a really interesting question because I didn't know this either, and I thought it was pretty cool. So nobody knows for sure. All right. We'll go with Erebus first. What are you thinking?
I think it's either KOTOR or Halo, but Halo would be the obvious answer because that you said they regretted it, so I'm assuming it's something fairly. Yeah, I'll say Halo.
Okay, locked into Halo. Athricus, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, I really don't think it's Fable. I don't remember where Fable was announced. Yeah, I mean Halo sounds like the obvious one, or not obvious one, but I think I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, and Vincent, what are you thinking?
It's rough. God, I literally don't even know where to start because, I mean, Microsoft got big wins from Fable and Halo, but would those games be pitched or to play on Macworld? You know what I mean? Like to a Mac audience? I don't see that even playing on Mac. You know? So I want to say Knights of the Old Republic, but I'm gonna go with Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah. Okay, so we got Erebus and Athricus for Halo and Vincent for Knights of the Old Republic. And the answer is, it is Halo. Halo was shown. Yeah, no, it's all good. Halo, and maybe I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have said regretted it. Maybe I should have left that part out. But yeah, Apple showed Halo on their stage. Steve Jobs was on stage saying, "This game is the best game I've ever seen. This will blow you away." And he revealed Halo, and you hear you hear the music and all that. And I was like, man, I watched a quick video before we started the podcast, and I was like, holy crap, I did not know that. But anyway, Bungie basically were saying, yeah, we want to make this game. However, we don't have the money to finish it. And Microsoft basically swooped in. We're like, yeah, we'll take you. And then Apple was really upset about it.
Yeah, I bet.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah. That was basically, the system seller for Halo. So Apple definitely lost out there. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. Final housekeeping here before we do our send-offs here. As I said at the start of the show, you can catch us on Twitch at twitch.tv/inevercast for this. And we are also on Twitter, and I have my own personal Twitter as well, @Kelthar. If you have a question for any of us on the podcast, or if you have a trivia question you'd like to submit, just email us at inevercastforthis@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. We have Discord, which you can, the invite is on Twitch for you. We're also on Instagram, on all sorts of different social media and podcast platforms as well. That's it for the housekeeping part. We'll just do our send-offs here. So, Erebus, thanks again for being on the show. Is there anything you want to say or plug before you go?
I'll plug my new baby that's coming in 10 days. So I'll be a father of 2 next time you guys see me on the podcast. And
Congratulations, man, for real.
Thanks, man. Cool. So I'll probably have aged about 10 years, and I'll still try to do the podcast for sure when things get back up after Kelthar's done his move. But yeah, so that's gonna be interesting. But I've thought about streaming too. Like I really enjoyed it back when I did it, and I'd like to. I was actually thinking about doing like an Elgato thing and like streaming Switch games, like an Elgato or something. So I'm thinking about doing something like that, but I haven't. Still like very early thoughts on it, but getting my head around maybe doing something like that.
Nice.
So if you want to stay tuned to see if that happens, go to twitch.tv/Erebus. I haven't been streaming since 2015, but who knows?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes, and thanks for bringing that up. I forgot to mention, yes, there will not be an episode for the next couple of weeks because I'm getting ready to move and I will have no internet. So yeah, that would be a bit of an issue. So, but looking forward to getting back to it as soon as we can. But you can keep updated through social media. Athricus, final thoughts?
No, I don't have any. I got nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, you're also quite sleep deprived, aren't you?
I'm tired. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that Xbox conference. Give me that Halo. Give me that Fable, and yeah. I'm ready to be disappointed though.
So am I.
Yeah.
It can't disappoint.
No, it can't. It literally can't. It has to be good.
They can't afford it.
They literally cannot. It has to be good.
Did you see the Nintendo Mini Direct they just did?
Oh God.
One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
Close my eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. That was abysmal.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And Vincent, final thoughts and anything you want to plug?
Thank you guys so much for reaching out and having me on. I thought it was a great discussion. Had a great time. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Babashinga. And then on Twitch, we also have our podcast, which is twitch.tv/Strictly Casual Podcast. The podcast is every Friday. And I stream a couple times a week just for fun stuff. So, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. No, thanks for being here, man. It was great having you on. And I found your podcast, I guess it was probably about a month ago or whatever. And I was drawn right into it, right? You guys do a really good, you cover gaming news very well, and there's not much you leave out, but you discuss it in a really interesting way with James too. So I'm glad I found you guys, and I'm super glad that you were accepted the invite to come on to this one. So I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it because we're just starting. We're only 25 episodes in or whatever. But we love it, and so I'm really glad that other people are enjoying it too. It's awesome.
No, for sure, man. And we'd love to have you back sometime too if you're up for it.
Absolutely, dude. I would love it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Cool. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. And thanks again to you guys for being here as well. And for those on Twitch that were keeping the chat going there, we appreciate that as well. And like I said, there will be no new episode next week, but we will be back in the coming weeks. Just check us on social media. And again, that'll do it for us. Thanks again. Talk to you later.